How's everybody doing tonight? Ready to continue building this ROKR submachine gun? So, yesterday's episode, I'm probably going to clip out like the last, 10 minutes of that or whatever. Basically, I had made a really stupid mistake. Actually, the mistake was like foreshadowed. So, we were supposed to put this piece on here and then I don't know if you can see it, but there's like 3 screws down on that table. Yeah. Can you see those 3 screws? It's like black on black. It's tough to see them, but they're there. There's 3 screws. So basically, we're supposed to put on this piece of wood here on top of here and then put the 3 screws, screw one piece of wood to the other. And I was trying to put in the screws first. And what's funny about that, or how that was foreshadowed, was earlier in the episode when I was putting on these walnut panels here. There was a 1 in the instructions for putting the panel on first and a 2 for putting the screw on second. And I was saying, what kind of moron would try to put the screw in before they put the panel on? And then, that's exactly what I did. So that was pretty stupid. So last night I was saying I'm going to figure out what's wrong, do it offline, explain it the next day. But when I went to look at it, I realized immediately that I was trying to screw it in. I was trying to screw in a piece that wasn't there. Like, I'm supposed to screw this piece to this piece. And I was trying to screw this piece to nothing and wondering why the screws weren't catching. So it was like really stupid. All right, so I'm just going to clip those 10 minutes of yesterday's episode off, and I'm just going to do it correctly now. And you could see it's like obvious. Like, the pins are going to line up. The screws are going to line up. I think everything's going to work perfect. I didn't test it offline, but I believe so. Like, how could it not? So we're up to episode 440 of this little, this little stream that we've got going on here. Just rest your eyes. A way to fall asleep without chemicals, which can be harsh. I don't want to scare anybody, or do I? I mean, you want to be, I guess, scared enough to make good decisions, but I mean, you've probably heard some horror stories about sleeping pills, like people doing things on the sleeping pill, like talking or walking in their sleep. But there's actually even simpler things than that. People could, like, choke on nothing while they're sleeping. I feel bad saying that, but like it happens sometimes, and if you're alert and conscious because you've went to sleep naturally, you cough or you throw up or whatever you've got to do, and then you go on with your sleep. Everything's fine. But there have been people, I think Jimi Hendrix is like a famous example. I think there was also, was his name Keith Moon, the drummer for the the drummer for the Who, I think it was, Moon the Loon. Anyway, there's been several rock stars who, after nights of drinking and drugging, they died in their sleep, like choking on throw up and things like that. But they say throw up, which makes it seem less rare, but it could be spit, saliva, mucus. I mean, it could be, pimples. It could be anything. Again, I don't mean to scare you, but my point is, like, they were drugged out of their minds on, illicit drugs and alcohol. But I can't officially say, I'm not a doctor, I'm not trying to accuse anyone, but in my opinion, it's healthier to fall asleep naturally. So that's one of the reasons this show exists. I know that most people don't brag about their show being boring, but that's what this show is. It's boring. And if you put it on, I believe you'll fall asleep. In fact, just last week, my wife happened to tune into the show that you're watching right now. It was on live, and she tuned in from her computer, and she fell asleep at her desk. And there was a time when I came home from work late, and I had to get up early the next day, and I was like, I've only got 4.5 hours, but I absolutely need this 4.5 hours of sleep. Like, I don't want, like, 3 hours and 55 minutes of sleep. I want like 4 hours and 29 minutes ideally. So I put on this show that you're watching now, and I fell right asleep. So it even works on me. I can listen to my own show and I'll fall right asleep. So anyway, getting back to the instructions, we're on segment 6, and you can see these like 2 panels here. So we're basically going to screw one panel to the other. And what I was trying to do yesterday was put the screws directly into here. And I like before I put this panel on, so now I can't show you because I already put the panel on. I was trying to screw them without that panel on, and it was like really stupid of me. So now I just got to line them up. That's the plan. Maybe they're already lined up. They look pretty good. Let's just give it a shot. All right, so there's 2 skinny screws, 1 fat screw. Let's go for the fat screw first. So it goes on the back here. So this is the 440th episode of Just Rest Your Eyes, but it's the 3rd episode in exile. What that means is I'm live streaming to Rumble rather than YouTube, and then I'll upload to YouTube after this live stream ends. So it'll just be a regular video on YouTube, not a live stream. So as you can see, this is failing. I thought it would work. The screw is like somehow not lined up. Yeah, it's not lined up. Either the bottom one needs to go forward or the top one needs to go backward. But at least now we can like see what we're doing. I might have just turned off my YOLO box. I just rammed the oh my goodness. Or did I just turn off the screen? I might have just turned off the screen. I'm not sure if I could turn it back on. I'm waiting to see if this transmission ends or not. All right, here we go. Here's the point where I hit the screen. Oh, it looks like it's still going. All right. So I no longer have access to the screen. Let me see if I can still change the camera angles. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay, so I managed to ram this gun. Let me show you from a different camera angle. If I can get there. So in the upper right now, you can see my full like desk. And here is the YOLO box. And the power button is at the bottom, and I rammed the gun into it, and now the screen went blank. I don't know if you can see that the screen is blank. So because the screen is blank, I can still kind of control the cameras, but I'm just going to leave it like basically like this. I'm not going to do anything fancy because now I have 2 ATEM minis, and one does the main like camera. This is the main camera. Where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the main camera. And then I have like the secondary camera, which tonight I'm only using 2, which is the instructions and the studio cam. Go back to the instructions. So I also have, well, you can see on the studio cam that Wheel of Fortune. I have a camera on that, but it's not turned on. And then I have a handy cam, which you also can see hanging in the studio cam that's not turned on. So I'm not going to worry about those ones tonight. I'm just going to use this view. I won't be able to update the scoreboard without seeing it. All right, so I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that. Honestly, it's crazy that this is still streaming because I somehow completely turned off the screen, but the stream is still running perfectly fine. I'm not sure how I'm going to update the scoreboard without being able to see the screen. I might just not. Or I might try turning the screen on with the caveat that it's probably going to break the stream, but maybe it won't. And I'll just be prepared for that possibility. All right, I think that screw is lined up. Let's see. It is lined up, so the screw is going in. So hopefully once one screw goes in, the other two should be lined up as well. That's what I figure, right? If one's lined up, the others must be. I'm not sure. Let's see. I think so. Wow. Well, that screw went flying. See, and not being able to see the screen, I can't press the replay button, so we won't get a replay of that. I'll try to be more careful with the second screw. Not sure what camera angle is going to see that screw going in. So now I can't like monitor what I'm showing you, because when not only did the screen turn off, but the monitor turned off. Because I had a broken YOLO box once, and I could still see the monitor, so I plugged in a USB mouse and like controlled the show that way. But I can't do that because now I somehow turned this off in such a way that the monitor it's still glowing, like the monitor is still on, but it's not showing a feed. So I like magically turned off the feed on the YOLO box. Like I didn't break it. If it was broken, I would still see. I've seen a YOLO box with the screen broken, and you can still control it from the monitor. But this is crazy. It's like still feeding to Rumble, but it's not. All right, I can't get these screws in. I'm not sure why. They're probably not lined up, which is weird because the back is lined up, so you would think that this would be lined up. All right, it's all of a sudden going in. So as soon as I started complaining, it started working. So you can see it there. It's like almost in. But for a minute there, it wasn't catching. All right, so now it's in. But I dropped a screw on the ground. So let me see if I can find that screw. I heard it rattling for so long. It rattled on the desk, and then it fell to the floor. I'm going to go get a flashlight to try to find it. I'll be right back. By flashlight, I meant the flashlight function on my phone. Why I didn't have my phone on my desk, I can't give you a good answer, but I didn't. All right, I don't see that screw. I'll probably step on it tomorrow, and that's when I'll find it. But for now, I'm just going to take a new screw from the bag. Alright. Let's get another screw. Or do we even care? Do we even care about that screw? I guess we do. We should put the screw in. Alright, so we've also been talking about fitness, you know. And one of the things we talked about was the systems in the body. I guess the cardiovascular system, that gets a lot of publicity. If you have a clog in your artery, it's like fatal. So you exercise to prevent that. We also, you know, you do walking and running and such. You also don't want to have clogs in your lymphatic system. We talked about that, the episode where we covered yoga. There's another element of fitness where you certainly don't want clogs. Let me give you the 3 things you can do about it, and you'll probably guess what I'm talking about. Water, walking, and fiber. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about cleaning your guts out. So I'm not a doctor, and I'm not any doctor. I'm not your doctor. So you need to talk to your doctor and decide what works for you and what's healthy for you. But for me, I think eating whole foods, staying active. When you walk, it braces your core and it jostles your insides a little bit. And when you eat fiber, it puts something in there so the water can flush it, and the walking and core bracing can jostle it. And basically it clears out those pipes and you feel better. All right, so I can't update the scoreboard because I don't have a screen. I had already updated it for these 3 pieces because I did that yesterday. So it's a really short episode so far, but I'm going to press the button that I pressed that made the screen turn off, and it's either going to turn back on, or it's going to reboot, or it's going to drop the stream. So let me tentatively say, if it disrupts the stream, I'll say goodnight now. If it doesn't, we're just going to carry on. If it reboots, maybe I'll be back in a minute. Let's see what happens. You can sort of play along. I'll put it in that upper right corner of the screen. All right, here's the button I hit. I hit it. It came back on. It came back on, but it came back on as if it'd been off. Because I don't know if you can see in the upper corner there, but it's now not displaying full screen. All right. So now it's displaying full screen. So we have our screen back. Excellent. Let's carry on with the show. On with the show. Okay. Wow. Okay, we're 16 minutes in. That was interesting. So we're on a new platform. We dealt with a new error. I feel like I'm doing good. I've said, like I've been saying all along, these are all practice episodes up until episode 1000. Like, that's what I just kind of decided for myself. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm starting from nowhere. Give me 1,000 episodes to figure out what I'm doing. You know, we're not even halfway there. We're at 440, and I feel like we're already doing some cool stuff. And speaking of cool stuff, I mean, check out this, what we got here. I'm not sure how to give you the biggest view of that. It's kind of obstructed by these cameras, but I mean, look at what we got here. It's like, we got the full thing. This is why I'm banned from YouTube. They banned me with saying I was handling a firearm on a live stream. This thing shoots rubber bands. I don't know if that's YouTube considers a rubber band gun a firearm. They told me that they're going to get back to me in 48 hours. They're reviewing my complaint. They already reviewed it once, but then I had a text chat with someone. And he said he's going to review it more. But, this puzzle has 275 pieces, and I'm up to piece 247. So I feel like, yeah, in those 48 hours, I'll be done with this model. I'll be on to something much more tame. Let me show you what I have planned next, by the way. I'll show you. This is, I got a lot of things coming up. Oh, look at that. So look, from camera 2, this looks purple. From camera 1, it also looks purple. I can just tell you in real life it's blue. So I guess that's not the color of my hands. Yeah, I guess my hands are a little redder in real life. So there's some red missing from this. Yeah, these look tan. This looks tan. In real life, this looks brown. So this squirrel, the box is blue, but it looks purple on the live stream. Anyway, this is the puzzle I was planning to do next. It's a 1-day puzzle. I've got a bunch of 1-day stuff lined up for after this, because when I do one of these puzzles that takes 10 plus days, I feel like doing at least 5 1-day puzzles after that to get through those. I don't want to get bogged down. Especially, I had a few puzzles this year that were 28 days, which is the most I'll spend on a puzzle, a lunar cycle. So we did that twice this year. I mean, it's only October, so that means that 2 of the 7 months or whatever, that doesn't make sense. There were only 7 months left. There 2 months were taken for those 2 puzzles, and then there were 7 months left, and now we're in October. Anyway, for now, let's see what's the next instruction. So this is the last thing we did. We added the B1 plate and 3 screws. Keep other parts well for later use. I have no idea what that instruction means. It says keep other parts well for later use. All right. This is the next panel. It looks like we're adding like the side pieces to the weapon. There's a lot going on here. I'm not even sure where to start. So there's a bunch of screws, 2 P12s, 2 P14s. There's several pieces of wood, B21, B29, A18. What is P3? I don't even know what that is. And then G10 is a piece of wood. What is P3? What the hell is? Oh, that's a spring. Okay, so P3 is a spring. All right, so for some reason we need a spring. All right. So let's start collecting those pieces. We got a lot to collect there. All right, so what should we start with? I guess the A board. Let's go. Wait. First, we'll start by counting this up. All right, 2 P14s, 2 P12s. That's 4 pieces. B29, 21, A18. That's 7 pieces. P3 is 8. G10 is 9. Do I got that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 pieces. All right. So this is going to go from 247 to 256. Now, I count the screws. I don't think ROKR, when they calculated 275 pieces, was counting the screws, but I do. So we're probably going to not be the same as them. So the B sheet. I think we need 2 pieces from the B sheet. The heavily inked B sheet. All right, we need this piece here, which is B29. I need my little tool here to pop that out. What is going on with that ink? Just some design. I couldn't even tell you what that is, but some design. Anyway, P29. It's got like 3 screw holes in it. So there's going to be 3 screws probably. We also need B21. B21. Where's B21? We need some super close up because I can't read these numbers. There's B22. There's B23. There's B20. Where's B21 hiding? B29, B12, B10, B5. Post in chat if you know. Oh, by the way, I see B21. It's this piece. It's a fairly big piece. I can send, if anyone wants to be not just in text chat, but wants to be on voice or even video, I can send you a link and you can be like added to the show pretty much right away. By the way, that was B21. I'm working on B21, but I dropped something. I don't know if this is even a piece or not. When the blast, I think this is, I don't know what piece this is, but it seems to be a mirror image of B21. So wherever B21 goes, this piece goes on the opposite side. So there's some poetry on there. How crazy is that? What does that say? When the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage. All right, so we have a British spelling of favored. We have an E missing from imitate. We have a comma that is misplaced. And I think maybe this is like a Sun Tzu Art of War quote. I'd have to look into that. Anyway, it's not perfect. Are these splinters? No, those are meant to be there. Yeah. You can see them on the other board as well. Little like nubs there. I thought there were splinters for a second. There's definitely some splinters on here. I saw them a second ago. I don't know where they went. All right, maybe I was wrong. Okay, here's a splinter. There's a splinter right there. Now there's a splinter. Now there's not. Wow, that was a lot of time spent doing nothing. All right, so this is B21. This is B29. We need A18 as well. All right, we also need G10. So here's the G10. G10 has an arrow on it. Whenever there's an arrow on the piece, we have to pay attention to that arrow when we install it. Like, just in the instruction manuals show like which way that arrow should be facing. All right, I accidentally knocked out both G10s. So, well, they're kind of stuck together. It wasn't really my fault. I'm just going to put one of them on this scrap pile here. All right, we still need the A board. This is the A board. Are we looking for A18? Yeah, we are. I could just tell by the way it looked. By the way, there's a bunch of A19s like hidden inside of the A18, so we're going to have to pop those out and put them on the scrap heap. So I can't always control, that's just plain garbage, this thing that popped out. I can't always control that scrap heap. You would think like, sometimes I knock pieces out by accident, but even if you're perfect, you're going to have a scrap pile because of pieces like this. Like, I need the A18, and in order to do that, I've got to pop out this A19 for them. And then that left a splinter, so we got to clean that up. All right. Finally, A18. It's got some nice looking ink on it. All right, A18. We still need, actually, I think we have all of the wood. G10, A18, B21, B29. This is scrap. All right, now we need the screws and the springs. So 2 P12s, 2 P14s, and P3, which is a tiny spring. All right. Do we have more than one size spring in here? All right, I got to go back to the page 1 of the instructions because it had some information about these odds and end pieces, and maybe we could find, all right, P3 is a 5mm spring. There's also a 10mm and 100mm spring. There are 3 P3s, so it's the most common spring. So, and it's half the size of a P10. So if we just take one of the smallest springs in this bag, that's it. That's a P3. That's all we really need to know. Smallest spring, we're good. There's another spring that has like pieces stuck to the end of it, but I think we already used that. All right, so I don't know if you can even see it. That's the 5mm spring there. You definitely can see that this G piece has a little like space in it. That looks like that spring is going to fit in that space. I don't know if that's what it's meant for, so I'm not going to shove it in there just yet. But it looks like it, right? Doesn't it look like it fits in there? It kind of fits in there, but I don't know if it's supposed to be in there. So I'm not going to jam it in just yet. All right, the other pieces, what were they? P12 and P something? All right, so P12 is a 5mm screw. Was it P14, the other one? That's a 10mm screw. Oops. What's going on? I've like lost the ability to scroll through the instructions. I think I accidentally typed in some command that advances to the end. I wasn't even trying to do that. All right, here we go. 2 P14s, 2 P12s. So they're probably going to be in bags, and they're probably going to be labeled. And therefore, all this like millimeters, we don't even need to know it. Here they are. P12 and P14. So 2 P12s, 2 P14s, and we're ready to get to work. So how was everyone's day? Has anyone seen any of that like political stuff going on? Supposedly some of it's in New York, but I haven't seen any. Like, if you can believe it, I never even saw anything during BLM. I only saw it on TV. I assume it was real. I mean, people were dying, shops were being burned down, but I never saw any of it firsthand. And supposedly there's some of that stuff going on right now as well. But I, again, haven't seen any firsthand. Not that I want to. I guess I'm lucky that I haven't. But, like, some people might say, oh, you live in, like, a boring area or you're a boring person. I mean, you can say that if you want, if that's how you feel. But, like, I don't need to see these riots, and I feel bad that they exist at all. All right, so it says the first thing to work on, you see that green 1? All right. It also says wax the whole G10. So that 1 means do the G10 first. And that, I can't tell if that spring goes into the G10 because I think it's going to fall out if we try to put it. And this says wax the entire G10, which is another like weird thing for it to say. And it says pay attention to the direction of the arrow. There's like a lot of instructions going on here. So what do you think? Does that spring go into the G10? Because I already tested it and it doesn't stay in. But let's give it a shot. So they want this entire G10 waxed. So we're going to wax both sides and the complete edge, which is going to make the spring fall out even more by waxing it. And then we have to pay attention to the arrow. So there's the arrow. The arrow should point to the front of the gun. And it's going to go here. That's where they want it to go. This G10 piece. Whoa. That fell completely in. And I don't think it caught anything. All right. That thing is gone. I can't tell you if it did what it was supposed to do or not, but it's gone. Now this is supposed to go inside of that. I feel like I'm going to lose this spring. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's try with the needle nose pliers. Let me try to also tilt this gun a little just so we can see what we're doing. Okay, yeah, I can see it in there. And now I got the pliers. Do you ever play that game Operation when you were a kid? Where you had to use those like tweezers to remove the pieces from the patient? Like the funny bone and stuff. And if you like touch the edges, the buzzer would go off. So I put the spring in there. Is that it? Did I do the job? It's going to get locked in when we put these other pieces on top. I'll tell you that. So the spring is in there, you know? And this stuff is going to go on top. It's going to lock the spring in. So let's see how that goes. All right. It says the second thing to do is the A18. But the A18 has screws, but those screws go through not only the A18, but the B21. So A18, B21 on top of it. By the way, this is not the B21 piece. I don't know why I put that there. All right, this is the B21. This is the A18. And then we need two P14s. Now, I didn't keep track of which is which, but I think the longer one is the... Why is the spring here? Did I take two springs out? This is crazy. There's a spring in there, and there's also a spring here. I'm going to have to rewatch this video and figure out how we ended up with two springs. So there's a spring on the table, and there's a spring in here. So that means I either at one point had 2 springs in my hand, or a spring fell out of somewhere else, and I don't know where. So that's a mystery. We'll have to figure that out. But anyway, for now, let's just try to get these 2 pieces installed. So we attached the B21 on top of the A18. The B21 is the heavily inked piece that reads Battlefield Dominator. So Battlefield Dominator, it looks like it has 2 like Ace of Spades type of pieces. And then it has a rose, which means this is a gun with roses. Why is that not coming in? All right, let's try it here. There's the rose. Is that a rose or some other flower? I think it's a rose. So guns and rose, and also a spade. A lot going on here. A very artistic weapon. All right, I've got the screws through. You can see the screws coming out the bottom. So now we just need to get them on the gun, and then that spring is not going anywhere once it gets screwed down like this. So that feels like they both went in. Let's see if they actually did. All right, one down. All right, let's try this one. All right. So that's it. 2 screws. I think they look like they're flush. They're down. But we still need to get this little fancy little piece onto this section. So there's 2 screw holes there. You can see. And that's where this goes. The spring I'm just going to put back where it came from, I guess. You know, at this point, I'm not even sure where it came from. Maybe it fell out of this gun. But anyway, we got this fancy little section here. Fancy little section. And we got to put a fancy little piece on that fancy little section. Now, what's confusing about that is there's 3 holes on the little piece that we're adding, which is B29. But there's only 2 holes. So maybe this is something's gonna get screwed from the top. I'm not really sure. Anyway, we're gonna screw it on with 2 P12s, and then we're gonna go to the next instruction panel. Okay. By the way, you can put anything into chat. I don't know if you're watching on Roku, you probably can't put anything in chat. But if you're watching on a computer, you can put any question about any topic in chat, and I'll talk about it. So that's always like any model that I'm assembling that offer is always out there. I mean, I'll try to pick a theme for each model and talk about that, but you know, I'm also willing to talk about anything raised in chat. It could be that you raise something I don't know anything about, and my comments will be stupid, but you know, okay. So that's on there. I'm not sure what I think about that. Does that look right? I don't know. It looks kind of like a color mismatch, and the screws are very raised. I'm not sure what I think about that. But that's what the instructions said to do. And I assume we're going to flip this gun over and install this on the other side. Let's see what the next instructions say. Okay, yeah, that's the same. All right, now next. Okay, no, we're not flipping the gun over yet. We're doing something else on this side. Some very complex thing we're doing here. Look at all those pieces. I don't know what the hell's going on with all those pieces. All right. On the right, lower right, those are all wood. B27, G12, A15. And then there's another section. It's again all wood. is the main piece is B5, and then we've got a bunch of pins, it looks like H4, H5, B6, B7, B2. All right, let's do this in 2 segments. Let's start with the easier one. So 3 pieces. All right, so we're still working on this side labeled Battlefield Dominator, and it looks like we're going to put stuff in that hole there. I don't know what's going on in that hole. Yeah, there's like some little slot there that I guess is going to receive whatever we're about to build here. So let's count those 3 pieces: B27, G12, and A5. So that brings us up to 259 pieces. B27, G12, A15. So we need 3 boards. 3 pieces, 3 boards. Nothing easy tonight. 3 pieces, 3 boards. All right, A15. I don't see... Oh, there's A15. It's right there. I don't know why I started to say I didn't see it. It was right there. There it is. Well, I said that because I hadn't seen it yet, but now I see it. A little nothing of a piece. All right. G12. All right, G12 is a pretty cool piece. I don't really know how to describe it. Kind of looks like... what's the name of the Boston Fire Department? It kind of looks like their emblem, but I don't know. Okay. Let's grab that G12. And we need the B board. The heavily inked B board. This is like the tattooed pig of boards. Because I believe the tattoo artists will practice on pigs, if I'm not mistaken. And then you end up with a pig with a bunch of tattoos. Is it B27? Such a tiny piece. I know I'm like overusing that phrase on this build, but what is going on with this piece? It's tiny. I think what we're going to do is build, like attach these 3 pieces all together and then stick them in that hole. I think that's going to make sense. All right, so there's the tiny B27. All right, so B27 we'll put to the side for a second. We'll pick up the A15 now. Is there a particular way that the A15 goes into the G12? I'm not really sure. Well, let's just see which way it fits. Does it fit like that? It seems to fit. All right, and it was tapered, so now the B27 goes right on top. Again, is there a specific way? I don't know. Looks like we did it. All right, now we got to get it in that hole. All right. Actually, this doesn't look that difficult. I think we should be able to do this. Well, turns out it is that difficult. Or at least I'm just failing at doing it. Let's see here. I need a moment to concentrate or I'm going to screw this up. Okay. It's kind of like a long way to go, and my fingers don't fit in there. And you have to line it up without really being able to see what's going on in there. You know what? Let me look at the monitor. No, still can't see there. All right, I can see the monitor now. But it doesn't help much. All right, did that? Yeah, there we go. I got it in. It's in. It's actually pretty cool once it's in. So that was good. All right, yeah, that looks cool. Overlit. Block the light a little bit, maybe. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. All right, that's done. No, that's not done. We still need to do this part. The more annoying half. All right, what do we got to do here? We got a lot of pieces here. B5 is the main piece. And then there's, looks like two of these 2-part bills, which turn into cross-shaped pins. And then there's regular. So there's a B2 regular pin goes in front through the B5. Then B6 and B7 Voltron up to make a cross-shaped pin and go through B5. H4 and H5 do the same thing and go through B5. This is like really complicated really complicated section, considering it's not going to do anything. I mean, it's being pinned in 3 places, so it's not going to move. It's not like it's not part of the mechanics or anything. It's basically just aesthetics, I believe, at this point. Anyway, let's do it. So that is 6 pieces, right? So that brings us to 265. If this is an accurate piece counter, we're 10 pieces from finishing this. We're not. We haven't built the drum at all. Because as predicted, the piece counter does not count the screws. It only counts the wood. Anyway, it looks like we need mostly from... Is it just the B and the H board? Yeah, we need 4 pieces from B and 2 from H. All right. The H board we haven't used tonight. Here it is. That's the board with the 3 targets. And the 3 target stands. That'll probably be the last thing. We could build them now. They're super obvious, but they're probably the last thing that gets built. All right, so H4 and H5. There's actually 2 sets of it. Probably the other side of the weapon we'll build one there as well. So H4 and H5. Let's do that. I'm just going to put it together right away. So one piece is like has like a top and bottom, kind of looks like the Under Armour logo, and then the other piece is like just the top, kind of looks like Greek pie. Anyway, the pie goes on top of the Under Armour logo, like that. And it creates a cross shape, but it looks like it doesn't stay together quite yet. It's going to go here, but we can't put it there until we put the B5 in place. So let's grab the pieces from the B board, which is, again, that heavily inked piece. So anytime you're grabbing from B, this is the outer skin of the model. The inked pieces, obviously, are all outer pieces. Anytime you take from I, which are the walnut pieces, or B, which are the inked pieces, you know you're working on the outer skin. I just knocked some stuff out. B, 18, 19, 16, 17. We don't need any of this crap right now, but I'm going to add it to the scrap pile. We'll need it at some point. What is going on with camera 4 tonight? That's much better. All right. So we'll just put that on the scrap pile till we need it. All right. B5 is right here. We also need B6 and B7. B6, B7. It's, again, one slit, double slit. So the double slit is going to go on bottom. That's B7. The single slit, B6, will go on top. So I was kind of wondering if YouTube was like secretly trying to tell me stop live streaming, just build them and upload them. Because although they settled on that it's a firearm and they don't want that on live stream, the original message was saying copyright. I don't know if it was like someone hit the wrong button, but that's what they were saying. So it made it seem like they're just trying to give me a hint not to live stream, but I have to live stream for 2 reasons. One is like technical and the other is psychological. The technical reason, just to remind you, I have this YOLO box here, which is what I use to do the show. And I don't know how to use that other than, like, I don't know how to do the show and not have it be live. Like, I can do it to private and then edit it and upload it, but if their AI is stopping me from live streaming, that's still YouTube not going to allow that. By the way, we need one more piece, B2. I don't know why I didn't grab it when I had the B board. So that's one reason. The other reason is psychological. I'm looking for the B2 here. And that is that I need to live stream daily to stay in the habit. Because if I was uploading, because I know, because I did this already. By the way, I found the B2. It's somewhere here. I see, is that it say B2? Or does that say B12? I think that's B12. I haven't found the B2 yet. All right, maybe B2 is on the scrap pile. I got to look there next. I'm just looking for B2. I don't see it. B31. B28, B1. B1 is this huge piece, and then B2 is like nothing. Do you see B2? I see B12. I feel like this corner here should have the B2, but I don't see it. So anyway, the other reason for live streaming each night is psychological. It keeps me in the game, because I did a previous 182 video series on in the gym, and when I did that series, I sometimes would film like 10 episodes at once and then schedule them spaced out over all these different time periods, like not even like consecutive. So it just was a totally different type of doing work. And I think that can be good for like sort of long-term projects. Is B2 on this board? I don't think so, right? I don't see B2 there either. So it could be good, but there's B2. It won't be as good, because when you do like 10 videos at once, or, let's say you do like, you get a 4-day weekend, and on 3 of those 4 days you film 10 videos, you now have like a month's worth of videos, and you go and do other stuff, and you sort of forget that you ever were making videos. But by just committing to this like hour a night, so I did like for the previous 10 years, I did like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 graphic novels. And this is the method that I used, like from 11 to 12 each night, like make comic books. Sometimes you have work, sometimes you have family business. You don't always get to it. But on those days, you just do 5 minutes or whatever. And if you look through, there's plenty of streams that are, 18 minutes long. And those are probably the nights that I didn't have time. But you commit to doing something. And by committing to doing something, long term, you get a lot of volume. So that's what I'm going for. Especially doing these models. I mean, as I said, some of them are 28 days. We're up to the 11th day on this one. So the live stream keeps me in the game. For this, I can't really see which way this B2 goes. Can you tell? Yeah, I think the slant goes towards the middle. There's like, if you look closely at this B2 piece, there's like a slant on it, like a pickaxe or something. Anyway, I think the fat part goes towards the top of the gun, towards the top, and the skinny part goes towards the bottom. So I think that's how it goes. And then there's the 2 cross-shaped pins, which we built there. All right. I don't know why I'm doing the trickiest one first. Or is it the simplest one? I don't know. All right. Fail. Try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. It's in. All right, now which one of these is which? I already forgot. No idea. All right, this is the bigger one. That's the smaller one. I don't remember. Okay, this one is the H's. The bigger one is the H's. So that goes here. I don't think there's any particular way that it goes, but just to match, I'll match how they do it in the instructions by doing it this way. By the way, just a random thing. Do you know what? Can you feel radio waves? We installed this review program that I'm on that gives me the models. They also give us other stuff, and some of it's like weightlifting equipment. And one of the things is it adds a dash cam, rear view camera, and that, you know how people make videos while driving? It was like this unit that adds this stuff to your car. And we installed it as a test over the weekend. And it was crazy. Like, my wife and I were sitting in like the driver's seat and the passenger seat, and we're at slightly different heights, and we were both feeling discomfort at exactly the height that we installed that thing, meaning like we could feel like whatever was coming out of that. So we unplugged it. I need to update that review. Anyway, I just felt that again. I was like leaning in close, and I had like my cheekbone like in between the camera and the microphone, and I felt that same thing again. So I'm learning what that feels like. So if I'm ever in one of those crowds, like we were talking about, those BLM and whatever crowds, and they start using those sonic, disruptors, I'll know exactly what it is. All right. I think, even though we're at 55 minutes, I think we should try to finish segment 6, and then we'll pick up on segment 7 tomorrow. So there's 3 panels left on segment 6. Do not forcibly pull the decoration. I don't know what that means. Anyway, there's really only 2 panels, because the final panel is like a QC panel. It's like a QC there. There's no pieces being added, I don't think. But these 2 panels that are being added were kind of doozies. All right. So this is kind of a doozy, and this is kind of a doozy, but let's do it. I think it's the other side. So they're saying like wax the whole G10 again. So the same stuff we just did, we're going to repeat on the other side. We're going to flip the gun over and repeat this stuff. So 2 P12s, 2 P14s, a B29, B20, A17, P3, which is the spring in G10. So remember that spring that we accidentally like knocked out? We're going to need that again. So let me go grab that spring. I know exactly where I put it. But it was tiny, so that doesn't mean it'll be easy to find. But anyway, I found it. It's not even easy to pick up. All right, before we start collecting these pieces, which I already collected 2 of them, let's implement the counter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. So, 274. But we haven't even started building the drum yet. So, as I've mentioned before, they don't count the screws. I'm counting the screws. They don't count the screws. So, it's our count doesn't match theirs. All right, here's the B20 piece. A17 should be not too far away, but it might be one of those pieces that already popped out. See, here's the A board, and there's no A17 there. I think this is A17 over here. Pretty sure that's A17. All right, and now, what was that other piece? It was on the B. Did we pop that out? I think we did. There was like 2. No, we didn't. All right, here it is. B29. Second B29. All right, so we've got here 5 pieces, and the 4 remaining pieces are all screws. 2 P12s, 2 P14s. P14, P12. 2 P12s, 2 P14s. They usually give you extra screws, like many extra screws. I'm not saying that you should waste screws, but they usually give you extra screws. And P14. That's the long end. All right. Now, the first thing they want done is the G10, which if you recall, and they remind you in this instructions, the G10 should be heavily waxed. All faces, all edges. Wax it, wax it, wax it. Wax everything on the G10. All right. Now we flip this over, get to work on the other side. I had to take it off camera to flip it over because it's so like big. If I flipped it in location, it would like hit other things. There's the spring. We don't want to lose that. All right, so let's get the G10 in. Remember, there's an arrow. The arrow should point towards the front, the firing end of the weapon. So let's get that G10 in there. All right, there we go. It's in. And then we got to put the spring in. Last time we used needle nose pliers. That seemed to work. Why mess with perfection? We're going to do the same thing on this side. Needle nose pliers. Get that spring in the middle there. That's it. We're good. Spring is in. All right. Moving right along. It's easier when you know what you're doing. All right. So the A17 and the B20 and the A17, those get the long screws. It's basically, this side is easier because it's like kind of a mirror image of the other side. We already know what we're doing. So we just do it. Not a lot of thought involved. Just continue. All right. So, where's my screwdriver? I don't want to use the baby screwdriver. Where's the... Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so we just get this like on top here. Get those screws lined up. All right, I felt those screws go in. Now we just got to screw them down. All right. Wow, went much faster than the other side, huh? Because this time we knew what we were doing. Let's read that great poetry again. And by great, I mean terrible. When the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Disguise fair nature with hard favored rage. I don't know. That was a terrible reading. Okay. So this B29 is going to go back here. Hopefully I didn't wake anyone up if they were sleeping through this. You know, should I even bring this up? I feel like I shouldn't give away the secrets, but I was listening to a podcast the other night, fell asleep listening to it, and they had music at the end and it woke me up. I recommend not putting music at the end of your podcast. I know that I'm like exposing, I'm like giving away the secret here. Like some people are probably making a living off of just, keeping their podcast boring enough that people could relax while it's on. Because if you put on music, it's going to wake them up, which is fine if you want people to stay involved and committed and paying attention to your show. But if you're going for that fall asleep, Bob Ross style of communication, then you don't want music at the end. You don't want music anywhere. It's going to wake people up. Bob Ross was the guy with the perm who did 26-minute paintings on PBS. You remember the happy little trees and all that stuff? They say he rarely had characters in his... he might have had a skier in a couple of episodes, but he mostly had just backgrounds. He would just draw the background and that's it. No foreground in his paintings. I mean, there might have been a tree or something in the foreground, but there was no squirrels, there was no people. It was just mountains and rivers and trees and that kind of stuff. Bob Ross, The Joy of Painting, if you want to look into that. Yeah, that panel's done. Okay. Next panel. What do we got going on here? B17, 18, and 19. I remember seeing those. And then B8 and 9. I remember we ran into those things. Where were they? Were they on this piece that fell off? Let's see here. Yeah, 17, 18, and 19. And there's also B16 here. We don't need that, though. We need 8 and 9. All right, let's start with 17, 18, 19, but let's also record 8 and 9. So that's going to bring us, that's 5 pieces. It's going to bring us to 279. So you would think that we're almost done because it says it's a 275 piece puzzle and we're up to piece 279, but there's supposed to be a drum here and we haven't built any of the drum yet. So I don't know. I think we're not that close to finishing as we think we are. Wow, be careful getting this B18 piece out. That's a tricky one. It leaves like a cross behind. Am I taking the cross or the circle? I'm taking the circle. Or am I taking the cross? No, I'm taking the circle. B18 is a circle. The B17 goes on top. The B19 goes in the middle. And the B18 goes on the bottom. So 19 is in the middle here. Actually, we didn't take advantage of something. I'll show you. So there's the pieces. 17, 19, 18. So here's the thing. This had a mini board in here. You could like knock that whole thing. Those 3 pieces came on one little stretch of board. It broke when I tried to knock it out. So I guess there really was nothing. But I can't throw this piece out yet because there's B16. What is B16? Is it that? I'm not even sure what it is at this point. Like, is it this whole piece? Is this whole piece B16? It might because it's inked here, here, and here. And that may be why that piece punched out. Because this is all B16. It might be. That's what I think. And then here's the crap. Chaff, I believe, is the technical term. All right, now how do we put this together? All right. The 19 and the 17, they both have slits. The slits get pushed together. And then that creates a cross pin. Basically a plus-shaped pin. I don't know, it's kind of tough to see, but it's, trust me, it's a plus-shaped pin. And that's a plus-shaped pin with a like rectangle coming out of it. And that's kind of the secret there. Is we put this together. Look at this. It's a cross with it's leading out. It's actually like a cross, like a religious cross. The bottom is longer. But what that bottom really means is that's where this rectangle goes. So let's put that together. I guess we'll just push it on as far as it'll go. I don't know if this piece is going to move or anything, or if it's going to move something. I'm not sure. All right, so that piece goes to this location. See that cross pattern there? Goes to that location. But what I'm not sure, I gotta study this. Okay, this piece, this like, we were calling it rectangle. It's not actually a rectangle, but this piece that sticks out, it should point towards the barrel of the gun. So it points away from this like butt of the gun. So basically it points this way. So there we go. Wow, the color is really off on camera too. I need to reboot it or something. I should have done that at the beginning of the episode, but whatever. I'll do it. Well, tomorrow it's gonna get rebooted because I unplug all the cameras as soon as the show ends. But anyway, it has ridiculous color tonight. If it's ridiculous again tomorrow, I'll reboot it. All right, so now we just need 8 and 9, and then we're done with segment 6. So 8 and 9, 8 and 9, and they go in here. That looks like very easy. The toughest part is going to be finding the pieces. 8 and 9. Are they still here? I got a feeling they're going to be tiny pieces. There they are. There's 8. There's 9. 9, 8. 9. I think it means no in German. All right. So here's the 9, B9. Here's the B8. And we just put it right through there. That's it. That's together. B8 and B9. And then it goes here, where it says single. I think that's where it goes. Is that correct? Or does it go here? It says full auto. There's 2 slots. I think it goes in the top slot. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. I'm pretty sure it goes in the top slot. So that's not even a slot. That's ink. So this full auto shows like 3 bullets, and the single shows 1 bullet, which indicates that we can slide fire safety. So it's indicating that we can turn this piece, but it's a cross-shaped connector, so it's not going to turn. I don't know if we have to take it out to turn it. Anyway, this one says single, but again, it's not going to move. I don't know if these pieces are just like decorations and there's going to be other pieces that move. I'm not really sure here. Anyway, this is the last piece of the night. All right, so that's it. So segment 6 is done. Last thing is a QC. Do not forcefully pull the decoration. I mean, I wasn't planning on forcefully. Oh, I know why they're saying this. Remember how I was saying, like, can you flip that switch? You can't flip that switch. And they're saying, and their description of that is, do not forcefully pull the decoration. But I'll just tell you my explanation. This is a rectangle. This is a cross. The connectors, they're not going to move. If you want them to move, then this would need to be a circle with probably a pin underneath that it catches to. And this would need to, it can be a slot, but it would need to be a slot that's bigger than the connector with a spring that creates pressure. And then you would like put. So anyway, the point is these pieces are decorations. They don't move. So that's why it says, hold on. Do not forcefully pull the decoration, meaning those buttons don't work. Don't try to operate them. They don't work. I'm John Rapp. This is Just Rest Your Eyes. Good night, and see you tomorrow.